Hello and welcome to my fourth Java development tutorial. And today I'm going to talk about if statements. Now, if statements is a if statement tests a condition, and if that condition is true, then it executes a single statement or a block of statements, which are enclosed in brackets. So let's go ahead and create some if statements. So if 10 is bigger than 5, ten is bigger than 5. I really can't type and talk, sorry. So what this code does, first it tests this condition, and if the condition returns true, that means that if it is true and that 10 is bigger than 5, then it will execute this statement, which is or a block of statements which are enclosed in these brackets. We can also compare variables inside the condition. By that I mean if we create two variables x, which is 10, and our integer variable y, which is 5, and then if we can also test if x is bigger than y, then we this statement is executed, and in the console we should see that 10 is bigger than 5. So if we run this program, you'll see that 10 is actually bigger than 5. Of course, we can, if the condition isn't true and that x isn't bigger than y, we can also execute a statement or a block of statements using the else statement. So if x isn't bigger than y, let's say we change x to 5 and y to 20. So now if x isn't bigger than 5, then this statement, system.out.print 10 20 isn't bigger than 5. So if this condition in here, if this condition returns false and x isn't bigger than 5, and in this case it actually isn't bigger than 5 because y is bigger than x, then this statement will be executed. So now if we run this program, we'll see that 20 isn't bigger than 5 because this condition which we set here returns false, and then then the else statement is called. But what if we wanted to, instead of doing else, we wanted to test another condition? So we can do something like this, that x is smaller than y. So first, this condition is tested, and if this condition returns false, then this second condition is tested, and if this condition returns true, then this statement is executed. But of course, if this condition returned false, then this statement wouldn't be executed. Now, in the condition of an if statement, we can actually compare a few things. So if x is bigger than y, that we test exactly the same as before. If x is bigger than y, I think I'll do if y is bigger than x, And then what if we wanted to test another condition? So we set two conditions, and if both those conditions return true, then we want to execute the statements or a block of statements inside the if statement. So we can test two values using this AND operator. And now we want to test if x is equal to 5. So what happens here? First, we test if x is smaller than y, and then we also test, this is and we also test if x is equal to 5. You'll notice that if we want to test if something is equal to something else, then we use a double equals sign. We don't do just equals, because equals is used to set a value to something like a variable. So if both these conditions are true, we want to print true, whatever. And in this case, both these conditions will be true. So if we run this program, we'll get true. Of course, there's another way to do this, because in this condition, both of these must be true. By that I mean that x must be smaller than y and x must be equal to 5. But if we use OR, these two lines mean OR. So now, if one of these conditions return true, but that I mean if x is smaller than y or x is equal to 5, then even if this one is false but this one is true, then this statement will be executed. But if both of these return false, then this statement will not be executed. Okay, so this is the basics of the if statements, but this isn't all that I wanted to talk about in this tutorial. I also want to introduce to you a new data type, which is the Boolean. Let's just create a Boolean variable. Let's call it x. And now a Boolean data type is special because the Boolean data type can only take two values. A variable which is of the Boolean data type can only take two values. And these two values are true or false. True. I really can't talk and type. I'm not really good at that. So now we've created a Boolean true, a Boolean which a Boolean x, and we have assigned a value of true to it. Now we can test if x, then we print system.out print true. Now what happens here, the condition here is that if this Boolean type variable, which is x, if it is true, then we print true in the console. Now you'll notice that I haven't written anything here, because if we are testing a Boolean, then by default, if we want to check if the Boolean is true, then we don't have to add anything around it. We just say that x is true. This tests if x is true. But what we've done here is exactly the same as this. By writing that x, if x is equals to true, is exactly the same as doing if x, and then printing out this thing in the console. you'll see that it's worked and okay. But what if we wanted to test if this Boolean variable isn't true? Let's say we'll assign false to our variable Boolean variable x. Now, what we'd have to put this our exclamation mark in front of our x variable, and now this tests if x is false because this exclamation mark is an operator which tests if something is false or if something isn't equal to something else. Because I didn't show this to you before, but we can also test that if 10 isn't equal to 5. So if 10 isn't equal to 5, then we print true, whatever. So if our variable x isn't true, it's false, and we test that it's false, then we get true. Actually, it should be false, but okay, I didn't change that. So this is basically it. So this is everything that I wanted to talk about in this tutorial. If you've got any questions, you can comment under my video. I hope I haven't forgotten anything, and I also hope that I have explained this clearly to you and that you understand everything. Of course, if you don't understand everything, you can search it out in Google. That doesn't take a lot of time. It's easy to search in Google. Google doesn't bite, so remember that. And yeah, so thanks for watching my tutorial, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next tutorials.